How is everybody doing today? This is Dustin Coyle once again, and you're tuned in to Intelligent Thoughts. This is the NBA Today for February 6th, 2019. Big news here. We're about 25 hours or so, 26 hours I think right now from the NBA trade deadline. Obviously, still the most relevant story is the Anthony Davis trade saga. LA, we've talked about it the other day, has offered pretty much their entire team plus draft picks. The Pelicans countered saying they wanted, I think the number was 6 first-round draft picks, 1 second-round draft pick, plus Kuzma, Ball, Ingram, I believe Lance Stevenson, Zubac, and Beasley, all for Anthony Davis and Solomon Hill. And they would be trading Solomon Hill actually to get cap relief for next year, which would also be a factor there or a benefit there for the Pelicans. The Lakers have now, I guess, apparently stopped trade talks with the New Orleans Pelicans. They said that they're glad to resume trade talks, but they don't want to bid against themselves. They have by far, that would be by far the biggest bid that anybody's given. The Nets did have a big one that was revolved around D'Angelo Russell and Jared Allen, plus a mix of players and picks going to the Pelicans for Anthony Davis. But it looks like right now, if I had to bet 25 hours or 26 hours here away from the deadline for the NBA trades, I think Anthony Davis is going to stay a Pelican. I don't know what offer is going to be coming out that's any better than what already has come out. Maybe a team like the Bucks, who, if they got Anthony Davis, would be a realistic shot at winning the championship this year with Anthony Davis and Antetokounmpo. Maybe them. The Celtics would be, other than they would have to trade Kyrie in order to pull that off. Kyrie and Anthony Davis have the same bird rights contracts, I believe they're called, to where you can't have two of those contracts on one team at the same time. So they would have to wait until the summer to re-sign Kyrie to a certain deal and then hope to make the trade for Anthony Davis. Right now, I would say that that's actually kind of what we're looking for or looking at. I don't think that Anthony Davis is going to end up getting traded. We'll see. We have about a day or so, and the talks are intense, but the Lakers have who were the primary trade partner or prospective trade partner in this one, they have at least unofficially pulled back on trade talks unless the Pelicans can be a little bit more serious with what they're looking for. There have been a couple of trades so far, and speak of the Lakers, they have traded Michalek, number 10, pretty good shooter, and a 2019, I believe, second-round pick to the Detroit Pistons for Reggie Bullock. Is that right? Let me make sure I got that right here. Yeah, that's what we're looking at there. I just kind of realized that we haven't really started the show, so I do want to say go ahead and like, subscribe, rate, review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. There is some social media now on Facebook, Intelligent Thoughts. You can go ahead and reach me there. Go ahead and ask any questions, reach out on Twitter at IntelligentTho1, Intelligent THO and the number 1 on Twitter. Again, I'd love to hear from you. Anybody who would like to have any sort of input or say on the show, feel free to reach out and ask any questions you like there. Also on Instagram at Intelligent B Thoughts, B as in the word BE, Intelligent B Thoughts there on Instagram. And I'll have a SoundCloud coming up hopefully later today. So, without any further ado with this, let's start the show. And as I was just talking about, we do have the Reggie Bullock trade. That was the person Michalek and a second-round pick to the Detroit Pistons for Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock would be the best three-point shooter this season on the Los Angeles Lakers. Apparently, he's averaging about 39% on catch-and-shoot three-pointers, and I believe 38% overall. So hopefully that'll be a valuable asset for LA moving forward, somebody that they can get in with LeBron just to add a couple more shooters around him. Also, another big trade, the biggest trade so far that's happened, the Los Angeles Clippers send Tobias Harris, Boban Marjanovic, and who else goes? Let's see. Oh, and Mike Scott there. They send those three players to the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers, in return, going to send rookie guard Landry Shamet, their 2020 first-round pick, protected, lottery-protected first-round pick, and an unprotected 2020 first-round pick from the Miami Heat, Wilson Chandler, Mike Muscala, and 2021 and 2023 second-round picks to the Clippers, all for Marjanovic, Mike Scott, and Tobias Harris. They've already come out and said that they plan on pairing Tobias Harris, keeping Tobias Harris this summer in free agency to pair with Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Jimmy Butler, and have a big four. With this, it's a big move. Harris, an all-star this year, having the best season that he's had in his career. I'm not entirely sure how him and Jimmy Butler fit together, and I'm also not sure how Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons fit together, but to have four players of this caliber on your team, you got to think that there's at least a decent shot that the Philadelphia 76ers make the Eastern Conference Finals. It is tough. Boston and then obviously Milwaukee and Toronto are the two best teams right now in the East, but that's a big move, a big splash there to pick up another veteran clutch performer who can shoot 50, 40, 90 and play defense there for the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's a big move. The biggest one so far, we're still, like I said, about 26 hours removed from the trade deadline tomorrow. That'd be Thursday at 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern. But that's the biggest one so far. And it looks like we have another trade here. The Detroit Pistons in trades. They trade Stanley Johnson to the Milwaukee Bucks for Thon Maker, who had recently said that he is upset with his playing time in Milwaukee and wanted out. He had a DNP, the only person with a DNP the other night. And they have ended up getting forward Stanley Johnson out of the deal. I think that's a pretty good deal for the Milwaukee Bucks, especially considering they didn't really have a spot to put Thon Maker. Playing a lot of Giannis at the 5. And if they were to get a guy like AD or a guy like Marc Gasol, that obviously is going to eliminate any need there for a guy like Thon Maker. And then you get a scorer and a shooter, Stanley Johnson. And hopefully that'll help propel them. They already have a lot of players in that position. But Thon Maker had been a bench player anyway. Stanley Johnson could come off the bench, doesn't necessarily have to be in the starting lineup. But I think it's a good pickup there for the Milwaukee Bucks. That's pretty much the majority of the trades that have happened so far. And the prospective trades are still, upcoming. Like I said, we have 1 day left. Anthony Davis, I would say, looks like he's not going to get traded. But let's review some of their games from last night. The biggest game of last night, the Los Angeles Lakers lose to the Indiana Pacers, 136-94. This is the worst loss in LeBron James' career as a professional and probably as an amateur as well. Bojan Bogdanovic put up like 10 points in the first 2 minutes of the game and ended up finishing with 24, I believe. Let's look. Yeah, 24 points on 4 of 10 from downtown in the victory there. He leads the way for the Pacers. Miles Turner also adds 22 points in 22 minutes on 9 for 12, 3 for 3 from downtown, and a big defensive block on Kuzma. Not much even was needed. 25 minutes for Collison, 26 for Tyreke Evans. The bench players get a lot of time in here. Aaron Holiday gives you 17 points. Chris Joseph gives you 13 points. Let's see, who else? The thing froze. Edmund Sumner gives you 17 points. And Domantas Sabonis with 17 points off the bench as well. Great all-around game there. Like I said, LeBron's worst loss in his career. Tons of fallout from this. The Lakers looked disheveled, poor energy. Just really looked like a team that was quitting, obviously, in the midst of all this trade talk. Basically, everybody on the entire team had been offered for Anthony Davis. So, and we're also about 4 days removed from what was almost a physical fight in the locker room with Coach Luke Walton. I don't know. This is a really tough time for Lakerland. LeBron James in the loss in 30 minutes, 18 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. Really nobody played that well. JaVale McGee, 16 points on 7 of 8 shooting in 15 minutes. It was probably the best player other than LeBron. Ingram and Kuzma both with 12 points in the loss. All right, the Clippers. Speaking of the team with the trades, go into Charlotte and beat the Charlotte Hornets 117-115. And this was Tobias Harris's last game with the Clippers. He played 36 minutes, scored 34 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, making 6 of 7 of his threes in the game right before he was traded. How about Lou Williams off the bench in 32 minutes? He finishes with 31 points, 6 assists on 5 of 6 threes. Great shooting there for both of those guys. Mike Scott, one of the trade pieces here for the Clippers, also with 9 points on 3 of 4 downtown. He's now going to the Philadelphia 76ers. In the loss for Charlotte, they're led by Kemba Walker, 32 point, 9 assist, 5 rebound performance for him, 5 of 10 from downtown. And 22 points for Jeremy Lamb, 13 for Marvin Williams, and off the bench Malik Monk with a decent day, 12 points in 14 minutes. All righty, in Cleveland, the return of Kyrie home. Did he even play? He did not play, actually. They started Terry Rozier. The Celtics beat the Cavaliers 103-96. They're led by 25 points and 7 rebounds from Jason Tatum, who is in the midst of trade talks right now as a part of an Anthony Davis deal with Boston. But a great game here. Great game here tonight from him. In the starting lineup also, Marcus Smart with 17 points on 4 for 5 from downtown in 32 minutes. Great game. And off the bench, Gordon Hayward with 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 31 minutes. And in the loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're led by Colin Sexton. 42-minute game for him, 27 points on 11 for 24 shooting. Not the most efficient day, especially for a point guard, only 3 assists, but a good scoring game for him. Other than that, 21 points for Alex Burks on 9 of 19 shooting. Not a great shooting day for him either. But those are really the only 2 players that did anything for the Cleveland Cavaliers. All right, moving on to another team that's been involved in the trades. With their last game with Reggie Bullock, for example. The Detroit Pistons in New York beat the New York Knicks 105-92. The aforementioned Reggie Bullock with 19 points and 7 rebounds on 5 for 10 from downtown in 36 minutes. They are led, however, by Blake Griffin, 29 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 for 6 from downtown for Blake. 19 points also from Reggie Jackson, 7 assists to go with that. And Andre Drummond, 17 points, 16 rebounds in the victory. For the New York Knicks, they are led by Dennis Smith Jr. in what I think is his first game as a Knick. 25 points, 6 assists, 5 rebound night. It took him 25 shots to get there, though. 11 for 25, not fantastic. And just 2 for 9 from downtown. In the loss there, still looks like their best player already. DeAndre Jordan also plays in his first game. 8 points, 8 rebounds in 24 minutes. And Wesley Matthews in 25 minutes, 9 points, 5 assists on 2 for 11 shooting for Wesley Matthews and the Knicks. All right, one of the games of the day here, the Toronto Raptors in Philadelphia taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Before we get too much into this game, just yesterday, actually, reports had surfaced that the Toronto Raptors were shopping or had offered the Memphis Grizzlies Kyle Lowry and Jonas Valanciunas for Mike Conley and Marc Gasol. The offer was denied by the Memphis Grizzlies, and I don't know that Toronto came out and admitted it either. But that being said, nonetheless, amidst the trade rumors, Kyle Lowry with a big first half. He finishes with 20 points and 6 assists on 5 for 9 from downtown and helps propel the Toronto Raptors to a 119-107 victory over the Philadelphia 76ers. Kawhi Leonard leads the way for Toronto with 24 points and 7 assists on just 3 for 11 shooting. A lot of free throws there for Kawhi Leonard. Serge Ibaka also with 20 points and 10 rebounds in the victory. In the loss, The Philadelphia 76ers are led by Joel Embiid's 37-point,